Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to yet another Trappin' Thursdays, the series in which we rank Fred's traps from Scooby Doo. Today, we'll be ranking his traps from Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo. Now, this was the show that introduced Scrappy, who's infamous for trying to solve all the mysteries himself, and relegating a lot of the other characters to the background.
He probably wants to solve the mystery for us. He loves doing that. Shh.
Such is the case in Season 1 because it only features one trap that we can rank. This trap takes place in Episode 7, and it's unknown who made it, so I'm just going to assume Fred. As for the trap itself, it starts with Shaggy and Scooby luring the monster onto a baseball field where Scrappy is waiting to pelt him with baseballs from a pitching machine. That's gotta hurt. And then, while the monster is distracted, Fred and Daphne drop the backdrop netting on him, successfully trapping him. Now, I'd say this is an A-tier trap. I mean, they successfully caught him, and on top of that, they made good use of their surroundings, literally trapping him with stuff you'd expect to find at a baseball field, not just randomly whipping out some crazy trap nonsense like they typically do, right? And all the members of the gang actually had a part to play in this one. Well, except Velma. She just kind of spawns in after it's over and pretends like she did something, but yeah, no, I'd say this was good. Moving on, we get to Season 2, and if you're like me, you must be thinking, oh, well, there were very little traps in Season 1, but I'm pretty sure that's just because they hadn't found the right balance yet with Scrappy, right? So I'm sure this season will be different, but you're right, it is different, because Fred, Daphne, and Velma are gone! On top of that, there are no more mysteries! And each episode is now 3 segments. That's right, Scrappy Season 2 is literally just mind-numbing slapstick in 7-minute bursts for 100 segments. To the point that binge-watching the show is literally just speedrunning your way to a mental breakdown, alright? So, note from the future, apparently the second season is actually a second series. Apparently 1 year after the first season, they ended that show and released a second show, which is actually what I have been watching, which explains why it was so different. On top of that, it was 3 seasons long, which explains why it felt like it went on for forever. In my defense, the shows do have the same name. After putting myself through every second of that, just in the hopes that maybe they're gonna surprise me, right? I tell you no, there are no traps in this one. But I'm not gonna let it end there. You see, they made a sequel to this show called The New Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo Show. And I tell you, whoever came up with that name rivals the mental powers of the guy who named Cars. Or Cars 2. Or Cars 3. So why did I watch the sequel after going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs watching the original show? I tell you, bro, Lobster Scrappy still haunts my nightmares. Because I heard that this show was going to be a return to form of sorts. I heard it was going to be more grounded, and it was even going to bring back some of the original cast members. Which means there's a chance there will be more traps in this one. So imagine my anticipation as I put on the show, and I saw that they brought back Daphne? Rappy? Oh, great! They brought back the least useful member of the gang! That being said, it was a breath of fresh air, and Daphne is really good in this show. No, Daphne's underrated for real. But it doesn't help me at all in this case, because again we were left with no traps. The Fraud Jones agenda continues, I tell you. But right as I was about to throw in the towel on the Scooby Doo Scrappy Doo show in terms of traps, I found out that Season 2 of the new Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo show was branded as the new Scooby Doo Mysteries and featured guest appearances from Velma and Fred. And guess what? In episode 9, Fred has a trap. At least, I think it's Fred's trap. What happens here is pretty weird. You see, Scrappy suggests fighting a guy, like usual, but this time Daphne says it sounds like a good idea. But then there's not a time jump or nothing. It just immediately goes to Scrappy running up to the guy and stealing his keys, and lures him to a net that Fred and Shaggy just randomly have set up. There was no plan or nothing here. They were just kind of doing that for fun, I guess. Regardless, Fred pulls the rope and lifts the net from the ground and traps the guy. I'd say this is another A-tier trap. It was pretty standard, but it worked, you know? So it definitely deserves to go in Trap of the Week. Although, I'd say that the first trap was better. I'd just like to point out that in the show where he was a cast member and the show where he just had guest appearances had the same number of traps. I'm just gonna leave that there. Well, folks, that's all I got for you today. Be sure to smash that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.